Hey, what is up guys? This is Zach. So today I have the DJI Mavic Pro in for review, which is definitely the best drone really in the overall market right now. And that's for a few reasons which we're going to dive into really quickly. But the main reason for me is that the drone and the controller fit all inside of this one bag. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the Mavic Pro is obviously a really small drone, but let's talk about how they sort of achieve that and why it's so awesome, which is these folding wings that work with the propellers. Now, two of the wings swing up from the bottom and the other two swing sideways into their positions. And keep in mind, you do have to do these in the correct order for it to work correctly, but I've gotten used to it after just folding them out for a few times. But the size of the Mavic isn't exactly pocketable, but it's more portable than any other drone that's really quite amazing or that we've seen from DJI. Now personally, when I'm traveling with this drone, I'll either basically just drop it into my bag with the camera protector, or I'll throw it into this bag that my friend actually custom stitched for me and made a really cool design, which is something you can do if you want to customize it. But you just put it inside of this bag. I'll get it in there real quick and then zip it up. And I actually got this bag from Forever 21 of all places, fits it perfectly. And if you want just a separate bag for your drone, you could do this. But let me talk about some of the alternatives. Now, if you're looking for a carrying case, you could easily go for the Mavic shoulder case, but I opted to actually stay away from it because for $79, it's a lot for a small case when I bought that one for only $10. Now, if you had that extra $79, you could put that towards a battery or basically anything else. Now, the reason that the size is so important to me is because I've had an Inspire one, I've had a Phantom 4, and the size is actually really annoying when you want to just get a quick shot and you don't want to carry it around all day long, whereas this really solves that problem. But to get sort of an idea of the size is when I had the Inspire 1 and I had two controllers. Those two controllers are the size of the drone and its controller, which is just absolutely crazy. Now, the charger also has a USB port on it, which lets you charge up the controller as opposed to the DC input that we used to have. It charges over micro USB, which is perfect for this type of scenario because you can charge it with an external battery. And speaking of the battery life on the Mavic, it's actually pretty awesome, but surprisingly, it's not that much different than what I used to have on the Phantom 4. Now, on average, this type of battery life lasted me about 24 to 27 minutes. And what I learned over the time is that with that time, you can actually just log 2 whole flights of all the shots you want to get. That is, if you make sure that you use your time wisely and you already plan your shots. So get up, get your shots, and get back down, and then you should still have enough time for one more shoot. Now, moving on to how the Mavic actually shoots, it shoots onto micro SD cards, and it actually includes a 16GB card which works with 4K. And overall, the footage looks really good. Now, it doesn't really look anything like the Phantom 4 Pro in its sharpness department or clarity. Same goes for the Inspire 2, but I think it's actually quite similar to the Phantom 4 normal in the clarity and the depth of the shots, especially including the colors. To me, the Mavic honestly just feels like a flying smartphone camera because honestly, that's what it is. But there's nothing wrong with that. The controller is also super awesome, matching the Mavic in size and portability, and it easily fits in the hand and works just as expected. It fits just perfectly with your phone, and a lot of people wish that they could use iPads, but I personally don't really mind that. And I like the style better than the Phantom's controller, but I do wish sometimes you were able to connect a bigger screen in the case of really detail-oriented shots. In reality, where it matters most, this camera and this drone is not 100% professional, but it can pass as one. It's definitely not an amateur drone or amateur camera, just you can't expect it to be used on any sort of really professional shoot. Now, the camera does shoot at 4K 30, 4K 24, and 1080p at 96 FPS, which if you owned or were looking at the Phantom 4, you would know it's a downgrade from the 120 FPS, but I personally rarely use the slow-mo on this anyways, but it can look a bit soft at times when you fully blow it up onto a 4K monitor. If you look at it just on a normal sized device though, it looks really good. Now, with this drone, it hasn't been as much to me with how much power the motors have, how fast it can go, how easily it'll be to get it up in the air and get it down, but it's been more of teaching me how to get the right shots and the shots that are really going to be composed well. I think it's really important to get the right shots, get them composable, get the lighting well, get the sun in the right place, and this drone has absolutely helped me do that, considering I can take it out so much more than other drones. So over the last month and a half, a little bit more, I've been shooting, trying at least every weekend, every week to get some sort of shots. So I want you guys to take a look at my little reel, about a minute and a half long. So take a look right now.
You still be here when I called. I cried, now you won't save me. I cried, now you won't save me. I cried, now you won't save me. I cried, you won't save me.
Alright, so the Mavic is for sure absolutely awesome in the shots that you're able to get. By the way, those are all graded with Osiris LUTs, and most of those shots were shot in Cine like D on the drone. But let's talk about some of the weird quirks that I had with this drone, and some of the weird things that I dealt with. Now, number one is a few weeks ago when I actually threw my Mavic and the controller into the bag, somehow the screen on the controller actually got scratched while I was walking around, so make sure that you're careful with that controller. And the second super weird one was when I was walking around in Chicago with my friend Joey Helms. Link is in the description as he helped me compose some of these shots. Really awesome channel. But I was walking around with him in Chicago and we were both flying our Mavics in one place. And believe it or not, the controllers were actually interfering with each other. So I had to walk about 10 feet away from him. The problem went away, but that's something to think about. You can't just buy 4 Mavics and put them all in a really close place. You might end up having problems. Now, speaking of distance, range, and connection, I actually really think that the Mavic Pro has great range. They say that it has more range than the Phantom 4 does, and I definitely agree with that. Where my Phantom used to crap out and used to lose its signal, this one still has 3 or 4 bars of signal in the same sort of places. So when I would try and go 2 kilometers, it would crap out. With this one, I can hit 2 kilometers pretty easily, but in the scheme of the range, it's definitely really improved. So the question stands, is the Mavic really the drone for you? It seems to be conclusion time, and I'm going to give you my take on whether this is the right drone for you. And really, it depends where you stand financially. If you want a drone that's going to be relatively expensive, but not really that expensive, something you're going to get a lot of value from, something you're really going to enjoy, then this is obviously a drone for you. But if you can basically spend unlimited money on a drone, I would either think about waiting for what might come after this, or buying this and also thinking about buying something a lot nicer if you really stand in the area where you can spend whatever money you want. To me, it's just so portable that I can basically take it with me everywhere I see an opportunity to get a shot. I've been able to get so many shots that I either wouldn't have been able to get because I didn't have the drone, or just would have been so much of a pain in the ass to get it around with me that I would have given up on it and probably just ended up not getting the shot. And that is what makes this drone easily the best piece of camera equipment I own. Because it's so portable, I don't mind taking it everywhere I go. So let me sum up this whole video for you in one sentence. If you need something that's portable, easy to fly, and has really good camera quality, this is the drone for you. But if you need something more professional for higher quality shoots, this probably isn't the drone for you. I think most people watching this video are probably just gonna need a fun drone that's gonna get their work done. But if you need anything more than that, I'm gonna have a hard time recommending it. But if you enjoyed the footage, if you thought it all looked good, if you thought that this drone did a really good job, which I do, I think it's absolutely awesome and I cannot recommend it enough. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.